Hey, welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on, everybody out there in the On the Chain community? Tell you what's going on. We have a very special guest with us today. We're excited about it. We've been talking to our guest for a while, trying to get him on the show. I'm going to give a brief intro before we bring him on stage. This is Panos, and he is the CEO and founder of a company called Anodos Finance. We're going to get into all of that that's built on the XRPL. He is also an author of a book called Understanding Crypto, and there's a lot more that we want to dig into. There was also a little bit of controversy over the Ripple X and where the funding's even going to all these great founders out there developing and building on the XRPL. So, Chip, I want to dig into this. I want to invite Panos up here. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great day today.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We've been trying to do this for a while, so awesome to have him here. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Everybody drop in where you're coming in from in the world today. What part of the world are you coming in? Drop it. And here, without further ado, let's bring him in. Panos, welcome to On the Chain. Great to have you.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's super great. We've been following you for a long time, and as our audience knows that you're a reference point and a source of truth as far as anything around languaging around the XRPL, and we frequently sharing things that you post on X, formerly known as Twitter, and but you always bring in really good, interesting either angles or I would say squashing a lot of the misinformation out there. And sometimes people don't like that. They get a little bit weird about that, and they get crazy. But you didn't do a great job of that. And you've been a huge source for us on this show, doing the research and creating all the stuff so we can just read it, right? So we can sound smart and everything. But welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. So where should we start?
Let's start at the beginning. So let's find out when you think about, let's say, decentralization, we think about blockchain, XRPL, like what was your first foray, your first move into, like, how did you first get into crypto? Like, what was your first experience? What was your first crypto purchase? How did you get started in this area?
So it all started in 2016 while I was studying finance, and I was looking to get into the investment world, and accidentally it happened to read an article about Bitcoin. It was talking about it was approaching $1,000 back then. So I clicked on it and decided to read it, and everything changed at that moment. I decided to research further and understand what is this Bitcoin, what is blockchain technology, and as a finance guy, that it intrigued me. It was like a whole new concept that until then basically nobody understood. We're talking about like a new movement of like value transfer, the first decentralized currency. So they're all like really new concepts, and this intrigued me to learn more and more about it. So for months, I tried to go deep into the technology, understand how the core technology works. And once I was ready, I decided it's time to invest. So I started looking at the first, the top cryptocurrencies by market cap back then. And I was really thinking that Bitcoin was too expensive back then at $1,000. So I said, let's find the next Bitcoin. So I was searching. I followed into XRP, and when I read what it was doing, mainly Ripple's vision, super fast payments, basically a better alternative to Bitcoin. I think that's the next Bitcoin. So XRP was my first crypto that I purchased. It was my first investment, and it still remains in the top of my portfolio today. And after a while, after XRP, Ethereum was the second one. I really learned about, like, it was like the first smart contract network. So we were seeing like the first, let's say, DeFi applications coming. So yeah, Ethereum was the second one. So I was focusing on this too for a few months until I decided like diversify and look into more projects. But yeah, for the first 2 years, I was really focused on XRP mainly. And in the end of 2017, with the bull run and the crazy run that XRP did, I decided to start a Facebook group about XRP and XRPL developments. Because at that time, I joined a few other groups, and there was really a lot of noise or a lot of misinformation and a lot of, let's say, price predictions, charts, and things that personally I don't like. There was no real substance talking about the actual technology, what it can do, how we can benefit as individuals. So I really want to. So there was nothing back then. So I started my own Facebook group. I brought some friends, some people in the beginning. Today it has over 30,000 members.
Wow.
And yeah, from that group I learned a lot because as more people came in and wanted to learn about XRP, it also made me to learn more and more, to be able like to answer and participate in discussions. So it was a great opportunity to learn everything about XRP and the XRP ledger. And in 2020, when COVID hit, I was like trying to figure out a way to join the crypto industry full time. And I decided, since I was already good with research, and I was as a finance guy, I decided to start a consulting company. And that's when I started with like helping some individuals, like guiding them in how to onboard into crypto, how to make their first purchases. So no financial advice. I mean, no like invest in that or that. Just giving them the resources to begin, and then do everything themselves. But that's the whole point. And since then, I got the opportunity the next 2 years to advise some great XRPL projects, such as Expector, iStats, Versex, and many others, mainly on XRPL, but I had the opportunity to also participate in some Ethereum projects. And that's when I actually saw that going on one-on-one, for example, guiding individuals and talking to people, it's very time consuming and exhausting. And I said, maybe it's a good idea to write a book about it, because when you have a book, you can just give it to them. It has everything you need in that place. You don't need to sit for hours and hours for just one individual to explain them the basics and how to do things. So yeah, I decided to start to write a book. I have read a few like crypto books in the past, but no book really had everything in one place and explaining it in a very simple way. Yes, because I think that's the biggest problem in the industry. Everything explain things like like people know what they're talking about.
Yeah, so you're a coder, right?
Yeah, well, they're already experienced. Why that's not the case? So that's why I decided to like write that book. And yeah, ultimately it went very well. I mean, from the feedback I got, it helped a lot of people. And fast forward 2023, actually exactly 1 year ago, we decided me and two other people, Peter Condilis and Fabian Sinani, we decided to start Anodos. And the initial plan was simply to like help people on board into crypto, focus mainly on investing, because majority of people, when they hear about crypto, they think about investing. So they need to know how to invest and get exposure to this asset class. But as time went by, we decided that we also have like the capacity, we have the experience to also build some great tools on XRPL. And when we saw that an AMM is coming to the XRPL, we thought that's a great opportunity to really build something on that and build a user-friendly platform that XRPL users can utilize. So that's how we started.
Well, That's really, I like the story. Your first touch point, understanding Bitcoin through, the course that you've been on, the path you've been on, learning, educating yourself, helping members within, new members to the community, understanding it better. And you're kind of spot on. The one thing that's been missing throughout this whole, progression is that when you try to get into it and understand, there's a lot of more technical, discussion over the space, and trying to bring it down and simplify it to a level that everyday people are going to understand. And it was great, going fast forwarding to what's happening today to your platform. As we were getting ready in the green room, I went in and I connected my Zaman app to your swap, and it took me like 10 seconds, and there I am. And then I'm able to swap and do things right on your platform, which is amazing. I like the simplicity of it. To be able to interact at that level, and that's what I think most people want. um, as we've kind of gone through this journey that you brought us on, and going from Bitcoin and seeing that first into XRP, and let's talk a little bit about what you see as the community today, where the trend is kind of going. But I want to really focus more in on, from a developer perspective, right? Because you went from educator to building a platform, and then the future, but your experience on the building side of it, and trying to engage with RippleX, and what is the foundational support look like, for those that are building in the space. And I don't know if you've looked at or seen, kind of like as a firsthand experience, what some of these other chains are doing, whether it's coming from Solana, or what we've seen from the Ethereum Foundation, et cetera, or even from Stellar, to where there's seem to be a lot of significant support from for the development community. But it'd be great to hear a little bit of your experience on that.
So it started from the beginning. I mean, the XRPL, and many people even in the XRP community don't know that, but XRPL was really like the OG DeFi chain. It was the first blockchain to introduce a decentralized exchange, the first blockchain to introduce the creation of tokens and IOUs, and many other great features, advanced payment features that nobody else had until 2015, that Ethereum came with smart contracts. But it was literally the first in many things. While even if you ask an average crypto user and they tell you what's the first, the first decentralized exchange, they will tell you, it's from Ethereum certainly. It's, Balancer, Uniswap, that were the first in 2017, actually 5 years later after XRP. So yeah, there has been many misconceptions around that, which has hindered the growth of XRPL. And also there has been many mistakes made by Ripple, who was mainly responsible, especially until let's say 2020, until the case came. They were the main party, or the only party you can say, contributing to XRPL, and bringing new features, supporting the chain, maintaining it. They were the only players, and since the creation, they were gifted 80 billion XRP, and the original plan was not to keep them as a company and to profit from that, but to distribute it to the community through different initiatives. And we all know they did some airdrops for the first couple of years. Then, from what David Schwartz has said, that because since you have a market and there's a price, then the continuous airdrops stop working, and it will affect the price in a negative way. So yeah, he said they had to think of different ways to distribute this XRP, but they didn't do enough, and they didn't do enough, especially for marketing the XRPL's features, until let's say 2 years ago. 90% of the community at least didn't even know that the XRPL has a DEX, or have never touched it. And Ripple is mostly responsible for that, because they didn't advertise these features. They just we had a discussion with David Schwartz through Twitter when I shared about some things and how XRPL started. And he said that in 2014, the XRPL was doing $8 million in the DEX on daily volume, which is crazy if you think about the time. And they decided to, because it was already successful, they decided to pivot into payments and institutions. They find like their own use case. And from there, they just stopped advertising the DEX and the core features that the original vision was about. So yes, there are many mistakes around that, around marketing and pushing the XRPL. And then, the XRPL is a great technology. It has some pros and cons for builders. For example, you can't really build your own custom features. Everything is embedded on the chain. Everything is built in. So from the development standpoint, it's very easy to build. It's just streamlined APIs. Very, very straightforward. Also in terms of security, you don't have like the security risks you have with smart contracts, which is like a separate code. New code that you introduce. So yes, these are the pros. But when it comes to the cons, projects really don't have a way to make money. You really can't monetize interfaces and different platforms you build. Thankfully, there is an upcoming amendment coming for that, which is batch transactions, and this will allow for platforms to be able to charge a small fee, and all this like will be in one transaction, because right now if you want to do that, it's like complicated for the user because they'll have to sign 2 or 3 transactions to like make the transaction and give pay a fee to the platform. But with batch transactions, it's a great feature. Hopefully it will come as soon as possible. So great platforms can start not just charging a fee, but it has also some other great use cases, being able to do multiple transactions in just one. So yes, there are pros and cons, but when it comes to support, there have been many complaints, especially in the last year, around Ripple. Basically, Ripple and Ripple X, they're responsible for the grants program and the initiatives around the XRPL ecosystem.
Let me ask you a little bit about that, because they've
Mhm.
only distributed what they promised. They distributed only 15%, maybe 20% of what they were originally going to distribute, right, to founders and to these programs. And so, we've been a little bit critical here, Jeff and I, of the way they've done that, because we've seen really great projects like your project. We've been following it from its inception a year ago. Other projects like Xpector that have just poured a lot of their own resources, time, energy, bootstrapping a project, which is very difficult to do. I've been there, dumped a lot of money into a project. You try to get it off the ground. You run into so many. You think it's going to take this long, you can multiply it by 10, and it takes longer. So this is the things that people don't see, the hard work that goes into it. Even making a great website. Your website's fantastic. Like, your great website, a great interface. You've been improving the interface too. So this is what people don't see. But what are your thoughts about why do you think Ripple X specifically, like, why do you think they've sort of migrated away from the community and this distribution that they promised, right? They're the ones that came out and said, we're going to give away this much, but they've only given away a small, just a small amount. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you think that's progressing?
So actually, like Ripple X through the grants program have distributed much less than 10%. It's actually,
Oh, wow.
in 2021, they contributed 1 billion XRP. They gave it to the grants program and specifically to be distributed through that program, and which now accounts for $600 million. And in 3 years, they have like distributed just $14 million.
Gosh, that's nothing.
Yep.
Exactly, it's absolutely nothing, especially when we are seeing other ecosystems such as Avalanche, Arbitrum, and many EVM chains. They have been distributing like hundreds of millions in terms of months, not years. And when we see like Ripple, which is one of the top companies in the whole industry, they have massive amount of capital. and they have already like contributed 1 billion XRP, and in 3 years they have given literally nothing. It means that there is a problem here in the terms how this initiative is managed, how it's constructed. We're seeing some improvements. I mean, right now that they have opened up the grants program to everyone, because in the past it was with waves. We applied in the end of 2023 in the 7th wave, which was basically the last one. It was about DeFi and AMM. We got rejected. We don't know exactly why. I mean, we talked about 2 months ago. We had a talk with Ripple and the grants team. They gave us some feedback, but it was not actually what we wanted to hear. They told us, we wanted like a stronger application, something better, which, okay, we can understand that. But later, back in April, we applied to the accelerator program, and we already had a product. We already had something to show. We already have like proven ourselves, and we had some great plans, which right now it's actually the V2 which we are building. And they again rejected us, and what they told us is because we are focusing on too many things. We need to focus on one thing.
You weren't focusing on carbon credits. If you're focusing on carbon credits, and if you're focusing on these initiatives that Ripple's invested in from a political standpoint, I've seen so many things Jeff and I look at what gets funding. You never hear again. They don't have a product.
I don't know.
They don't even have it's not even a well thought out idea, right? It's not even, it's not there in terms of well, how is this going to make money? How are you going to monetize this? Like, how is this going to be? How are you going to sustain yourself past a grant, right?
Yeah, it's not just about that. It's just if you see most of the projects that have been funded, especially in the first waves, have like disappeared.
Yep.
I know a case of not just crushed. I mean, they just some didn't even deliver. I mean, they said we will do.
You're right. That's it. They just did nothing.
They took the money and they just left. They did nothing. So they just
And I find it interesting. To your point, too much, right? And then I look at Ripple from over the past 5-6 years. Ripple has changed their verbiage, their terminology, their focus. They're always about changing this whole idea of cross-border payment and building that infrastructure to take on Swift. But while they're doing that, there's all these ancillary items, including the stable asset. But they always struggle with a clear understanding of what their technology is, what their technology does. And so I find it interesting, when we look at that, cross-border payments, digital asset custody, stablecoin, they finally simplified it, right? From on their website, they've gone through this simplification, but to be critical of an actual project, to say there's too much involved in the project, when we've gone through, different iterations where it was so confusing trying to understand what Ripple did and does, with all the different, interfaces on their platform. I find that, an interesting critique to say, hey, you guys are trying to do too much. And I look at your website and I'm like, well, I understand exactly what you guys are doing. I mean, I look here, I'm like, hey, look, one-click solutions. You have the multi-chain wallet, social, easy login, easy support. Kind of get into what do you guys do? Well, you have, you can quickly interface and you can do your swaps. It's just really, really simple.
DeFi, right?
So it's very clear, right?
The part that I don't understand, it's like this whole idea of DeFi is.
Really want to simplify that further, because
it froze here.
I think a big problem generally with the industry is that not just DeFi, but using Web3 is still very complex for the average user.
Right.
And our plan, our goal is not just to target the average crypto user, but the average internet user.
Right. That's good.
I think that's the goal for the whole industry, because if the end goal is not to, like, we're talking about this Web 2 to Web 3 transition, but if the end goal is to, in the end, to not be any distinction between them, it must be just the internet and just money flowing like information. That's basically what Ripple has been saying also with the internet of value. but it needs to be extended further to the whole core features of blockchain technology.
Yeah.
And if that's not our end goal, then we're doing something wrong. And
Right.
unfortunately, most of the not most of the projects, not XRP projects, projects
Mhm.
in the industry as a whole, they're focusing a lot on targeting crypto users,
Mhm.
not targeting beginners and outsiders that know nothing about crypto and or like solving. Okay, yeah, they might be solving some real world problems, but still they are not targeting the average internet user. They're
Right.
targeting crypto users.
Yeah, and you wanna make it easy, and that's something that Chip and I always talk about. When you open up, and you turn on your computer, the general population doesn't really care how it works. The majority of
Exactly.
them, they wanna hit the power button, and I wanna log into what I wanna log into, and when I log into something, I want it to be as easy as possible. When I get in my car and I start it, most cars have gone from a key to a push button start. Nobody cares what happens after that. Whether I'm turning my key or I'm hitting the button to start my car, I don't care how the engine, functions and works. I put gas in it, it brings me from point A to point B. So the engine that supports the mechanism isn't interesting to the general public, and that's where a lot of technical people don't understand the UI, aspect of interacting with general public. It has to be simple. Most people don't care about the technical aspect. They don't care about the engine that's building it in the background. Crypto is going to end up in the background where people aren't going to interact with most of the technology or care about the technology, right? If we're moving money from point A to point B, I just want to know it gets there. And I think that's part of the confusion. You're 100% spot on. They've sometimes it's over complex. I look at some of the uh, interaction from crypto, this Web3 idea, to the gaming community. And they're trying to reinvent the wheel of gaming. Gaming has already been proven, right? People, they get on and the gamers want a game. They want to shoot things. They want to race things. That's it, right? And then they have built an entire community around it. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And then here comes Web3, and they start adding an aspect to it that gamers don't want, and they start trying to reinvent it, and they're trying to bring gaming backwards instead of trying to figure out how do we add value to what's already there instead of trying to recreate it. And I think again that's part of a lot of the issue within the technical developer side of things, where they're not necessarily seeing general public utility. And that's what I love about Anodos, uh, and the website, is just the simplicity of bringing general public into saying, "Here, I understand it. I kind of get it." I appreciate and like the direction that you're moving in. I think it's really great.
And yeah, the main problem is that most developers or projects really want to put blockchain into everything. While
Right.
we must understand that it's not the solution to everything. We must use it whenever it makes sense. And for example, with gaming, okay, we have like the NFTs. The opportunity to own your item. It's a great concept, but we have to realize that not everything must be that way. I mean,
Right.
of course, it's a nice feature to have, but it should be optional, and it should be you're building a game, not a blockchain game.
Right. That's
And you're
that's
just
exactly it.
adding some blockchain features into it wherever it makes sense, making it like super easy for the user to use it if they want to.
Mhm.
I think that's the goal. We have to realize that blockchain is not the solution to everything. We have to use it wherever it makes sense.
Yeah. And that's it, and it's interesting, as we move that way. Obviously, from a financial perspective, there's a lot of amazing opportunities from an investment strategy. To look at where it's going, it's very um, a large part of it's still susceptible to going to zero. We don't know where everything's going to fall out. It's kind of like the dot-com era. There's a lot of anything with a dot-com. Many of them, a large percentage of them, ended up just disappearing. They went nowhere, and there were millions and millions and millions of dollars invested in them. And it's interesting, as you bring up, where Ripple has been, or Ripple X has thrown some of the investment money and went into projects that went nowhere. And, you know, potentially some of it was because they were building within their, you know, political initiative. You know, they had a specific political ideology of what they think. If they embraced a little bit of that, maybe that's where the money went. I don't know if that's 100% the case. Chip and I have been a little bit critical of that aspect.
But you know, another thing is that, for example, you know, some big companies, they have invested in them. For example, Forte, they invested 100 million to them.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Arrington, XRP Capital, you know, or, you know, basically companies that ex-Ripplers or their connections created,
Mm-hmm.
they're throwing hundreds of millions, and
Not
they
building.
they hold back by giving 100,000 to an XRP project that this 100 grand can do great things. You know,
Right.
a project with 100 grand, you know, can really do, if like they have like the right team, the right idea, they can do much greater things than, for example, these multi-million-dollar investments that we have seen haven't really resulted into anything.
Yeah. I don't understand.
There's a
Chip and I
problem.
discussed that one. We still don't understand, like, why Forte? What did they do why did they give them 100 million? What was
I
the
mean,
point of all of
the
that? And what was their expectation?
bring gaming to XRPL, you know, use the XRPL, but in the end, they don't even
They never
you
did
know,
it.
end up using the XRPL. They
Yeah, they never did it. It wasn't. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, there have been like many changes in directions, and I think a big problem lies that, you know, Ripple is a huge company. I think they have like 800 employees right now, but there are certain people, certain groups that really destroy the image of Ripple, and
Mhm.
you know, I don't really want to be negative.
No. Yeah.
You know, I love Ripple, I love their vision, but they really have to look at their management. They really have to change
Mhm.
some things, some people, because they're really damaging their image, and which results to like damaging the whole XRPL ecosystem. So hopefully, you know, we are seeing some improvements, like the grants program. They opened it up.
Yeah.
Some like initiatives, some like more investments to real world asset organization projects. We are seeing some projects, but still not enough, especially
Mhm.
compared to other ecosystems, which we said they're giving hundreds of millions, and not just to projects. You know, a big one, for example, Avalanche, both Avalanche and Arbitrum, gave millions to projects to reward their users.
Mhm.
So to
Right.
reward active participants in the ecosystem, and that resulted in like you know, a big network effect where, you know, both builders comes and users are actually interested. They want to use, and if they find the product and app interesting, they will stay because that's the goal. Yes, you come for the incentives first, but if the technology is good, if the product you have is great and solves the problem, then the users will stay.
Yeah.
So the solution is for Ripple, which some people say, you know, it's their own money, but it's really not when you think about it, because if you go back to the 80 billion they gifted, we know what the initial plan was, and even now that they were the ones who stepped in and launched the XRPL grants program, which in my opinion was wrong. It should be given to the XRPL Foundation, because Ripple is a private company. They have their own interests, and, you know, they shouldn't be responsible for these kind of things. But in the end of the day, they decided to launch this initiative. They're responsible for it, so they must do something about it. So they need to go big. They need to start like investing in projects. And I also heard recently that the XRP grants team is small, and like they can't give feedback to individual projects. I mean, come on, they have like that massive capital, and they can hire a few people to like
Right.
grow this team. And I mean, it's just excuses, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't take, right, to that point. If you set aside 80 million and you can take, you know, 5 million of it, 10 million of it to
It's just
build out the infrastructure to support the it's gonna go a long way. You'll support it for a couple years, get a couple top key people to develop it. And I think, you know, that's one of the biggest issues is that Ripple has a specific objective, and that's to build out their company. I don't, even though they give a little bit of a, you know, pat on the head, they don't even give a pat on the back to the community. They kind of pat them on the head, Yep, kind of like with the concert they did, or the party they did, the proper party. I was critical of that. Even going into it, what were they actually celebrating? Because I would rather have seen them celebrating, putting more money into the development community, and seeing what they're doing. Say, hey, here's our thank you. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to host something to help developers build, not throw a party with a singer. I could care less about parties and drinks. I want to see them step up to the plate. But at the end of the day, Ripple is engaged in building out their company, and they're also engaged in a multi-year lawsuit, against the SEC. So their focus is over there. But to your point, that they did segment out, say, hey, we're going to build out the community. Here's 80 million. Here's a foundation. Here's Ripple X. That should have been segmented outside of Ripple right to begin with. They should have gifted the 80 million and created a foundation and said, hey, the foundation is now responsible for itself. But they're also sitting on 50 billion in escrow that doesn't really belong to them either, right? And the 50 billion that they're managing. So I think there's a lot of confusion within the space in terms of what their responsibility is or isn't to help build the space.
Yeah, I hope with the new XRPL foundation that is being built up.
Yeah.
And, I don't really know what happened with the previous XRPL foundation. There are some contradictions there. We heard a few months back that Ripple stopped funding the XRPL foundation. So, there have been some things that need to be cleared out. And the best thing would be for Ripple to publicly address this, because
Agreed, yeah.
it really gives a bad image. I mean, why did they stop funding it? Why didn't the XRP Foundation took more? Because they were responsible for the main GitHub and maintaining the trademarks, everything. It was under the XRP Foundation. So why weren't they given more power? Why are they given certain initiatives to be run by them? And suddenly we hear that there's a new foundation being set up. So we need to clear up some things. Ripple really hasn't been transparent on that yet. I mean, they have been transparent about other things, especially in the past, but not really when it comes to the XRPL ecosystem itself and what they are doing. So if they really want to help the community, help the ecosystem, they really want to address some things. And I hope that the new foundation is built in a better way, has a good structure, and it will leave participants, both projects and individuals, to participate. Hopefully we see a DAO as well, being able to get some funds and manage it to expand the XRPL ecosystem. There are many great initiatives that can be done. I hope so that we will see them over the next months.
Yeah, and that's a solid point. And I think, critique of the community is healthy, right? You have to have an internal discussion over the goods and the bads. The good is that the XRPL was probably one of the best blockchain technologies that had been developed, and it's packed with a ton of technology, including the DEX that you mentioned before. Whereas, we think about Ethereum, it's still really difficult not to build on, because obviously they've proven that they can roll out the ERC-20s, and they were first mover advantage. They got the message out there. Bitcoin's still slow and expensive to transact in comparison to XRP or moving anything over the XRPL. Same thing with any of the Ethereum based project. It's still expensive to interact with. XRPL stands on its own as an amazing technology, underutilized, underrecognized, and underfunded in terms of the developer community.
Underutilized because for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that the lawsuit had an impact in all this? Is that what slowed it all down?
I mean, many people like to blame this to the lawsuit, but it certainly had an impact. I would say maybe for the first year, but after that, I mean, nobody really cared. I mean, when it came, people were in shock. Okay, they have to process it for some months, but then nobody really cared. They kept using the XRPL. The users that were in the XRP community kept using XRP, so it didn't really matter. I mean, maybe from the other ecosystems and other communities, maybe they saw that in a negative way. But still, I mean, if we had like good initiatives and good programs, there could be so much things done during the lawsuit, but there was nothing done. And until last year, that we started seeing like more features like the AMM, and like now we are seeing lending coming in the future and other great XRPL features. Until last year, really XRPL was behind, and that is because we want to say that Ethereum is expensive and slow, Bitcoin as well, but we're really seeing for the last 3 or 4 years many other great chains such as Avalanche and other layer 1s and layer 2s that are really super fast and super cheap. They can really do what XRP can do as well in terms of this efficiency and performance. So XRPL had to move forward, had to like introduce some new things, and I really believe the future is multi-chain, but it's also multi-chain within a sidechain ecosystem, within layer 1s. And I'm a huge fan of the how. I'm a huge fan of the upcoming EVM sidechain, which really gives the tools to all developers to build whatever they want. And ultimately, they connect to XRPL. That's the core thing. So yes, I'm very confident in what is being done. I'm very hopeful in what it is to come in the next months. Mostly from the other developers, we're seeing more and more people outside of Ripple doing things for the XRPL and the ecosystem, which I think is great. It's really good to distance the XRP ecosystem from Ripple, because at the end of the day, Ripple is just another private company. It's just one of the hundreds of projects that are building on the XRPL. So it's really time for the community to give some attention, give some love to the other builders as well, because I have posted that on X as well, that most of the XRP holders really care about Ripple and what they are doing. So they have invested in XRP because of Ripple and their efforts. So we really need to change this, because there are so many great projects and tools being built that most of the community doesn't know. So yeah, I'm hopeful. And
Panos. So question, sorry guys, I had some it wasn't the internet, it was Brave. Wouldn't let me get in. Brave browser is going to be axed. So I had to go to Chrome. I had to go to Chrome. It was weird. Like I have no internet issues. I was hitting every website, but for some reason it was just not working with
hopefully
this,
the X browser will solve those problems.
Yeah, X will solve a lot of potential problems. But you brought up Zahao. So what do you think, in your opinion? This is just an opinion. Like, what do you think about? Why do you think that? And people might think this is controversial, but why do you think Ripple killed the Hooks Amendment? Do you think it was because it couldn't potentially handle, the XRP? Like there would have been like a heavy tax on the XRPL, or do you think that they just always envisioned it to be a side chain?
Well, I think the initial plans, from what the XRP Labs team has said, is that they really wanted to see hooks on mainnet. But I don't know the actual reasons. I mean, Ripple knows better, because there have been some controversies around the topic that they just didn't allow it. That they didn't really want hooks on the mainnet.
But it's not really decentralized, is it, though?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like how amendments are processed and approved, yeah, I think there is some centralization at the point, which I hope it will change. And that's why I'm saying that the foundation and XRPL Foundation must be responsible for everything, managed by community members and projects. So hopefully we will see that transition sooner than later. So we're actually seeing more and more decentralization, not just on how the network is functioning, but in how we introduce new features, how we implement things on the XRPL. Hopefully we see that as well. But yeah, I think after the XRP Labs team saw that it was hard getting the hooks on mainnet, then the next best option was to launch a sidechain. And in my opinion, I think maybe that's better, because XRPL has been like standing for 12 years now, and it has really been slow on adopting new features. And it has pros and cons, but I think it's more for the better because we really want the XRPL and the mainnet to be stable, and we are sacrificing like innovation and new features coming in a faster way, but we are sacrificing for better performance, for more stability. So yeah, right now I think it's better that it launched the hook launched on a sidechain, so it they can be proven. The community can test it. The developers can see their power, what they can do. So after they are proven, I mean, I don't know if we should in the end bring hooks on mainnet. I mean, if there is seamless interoperability, which is the end goal, I mean, we don't need to do that. We don't need to bring everything on the mainnet. We have Zaha, we have the EVM sidechain and many other sidechains potential in the future. But if they connect seamlessly and you can transfer and do cross-chain transactions in a matter of seconds without the end user realizing it, because that's the goal. The end user shouldn't know what chain is used, the whole intricacies of the technology. If that's done, then no need for hooks or other big features to come to mainnet. I think that will be great.
Interesting. So what's your theory behind Ripple going into the stablecoin arena? And what do you think its impact will be? Because if the XRPL is interoperable, right, you can take any fiat with any digital asset, right? You can basically do that, using the DEX. So what would you see their focus? Do you think it's because they got a lot of pushback from the FinServe industry, and them saying, hey, even though it's 4 to 6 seconds, there's volatility in the token itself, where a stable coin could then plug that gap. If it's a stable coin and it's using the Ripple stable coin, now you're using this. And then if that's the case, where would XRP come in? What would XRP be needed for at all?
So I think, based on David Schwartz's words as well, that payments haven't really been that successful for Ripple. As we can all see, it hasn't really been adopted by many players or big institutions, and I think it's mostly because of it's a combination of many things, from maybe bad marketing, misunderstanding from the institutions, how the system and Swift has been built, where the big institutions certainly do not want to give that system that gives them so much money, because with Swift and correspondent banking, basically the 90% of banks are paying the top ones to facilitate payments for Nostro Vostro accounts, as we know, that pre-funded liquidity. So it's definitely not in the interest of the big banks. So maybe there has been some fight from them, maybe some bad marketing, as we know, because Ripple tried to advertise the way they advertise it. XRP is used. This about, you said, of the volatility, even though it's in the end it's not really a problem. There seem some problems like the off-ramping, the way it moves and out. It might add some friction there, which in the end it's how Ripple's technology is built. But yeah, I think we are still early for Ripple's vision of payments about XRP. So that's why they decided to launch a stablecoin, because they also have the credibility, they have the capacity, the capital to do it. And yeah, it'd be because everyone now is using stablecoins, the big institutions, we see the tokenized treasuries, tokenized, any real world assets. We are seeing stable coins such as USDC playing a big part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the next big step, and yeah, Ripple decided that wants to take
also, so I'm hearing a common theme about bad marketing. So I'm a big fan of Brad Garlinghouse, but I look at the iconic companies that had a visionary founder. You had Apple, you had IBM, you had Microsoft, right? You have, if you look at Ethereum, I mean, even though it had a face, right? It had a face, and you had a vision for what was going to happen. You had somebody who was evangelizing and being out there. And you know, even Google, and it's with the two founders, with Sergey Brin, that had these founders who were out there that were visionary, thinking about the next big thing. And that's what I think has been missing a lot from Ripple, is that, you know, and even watching David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse on stage together, you could see that, you know, thing about Garlinghouse is a very focused kind of a guy. David Schwartz is everywhere. He's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
He's tweeting about this, and, you know, he's basically trolling people, and he's kind of all over the spectrum, and he's the chief tech officer. So I'm thinking, like, so where's the innovation coming out of an org like Ripple that has an incredible amount of backing? They keep hiring people. They keep growing their organization. When we were in Australia, we got to hang out with some of the best folks we've seen at Ripple, which is on that, you know, Jeff, I mean, just the conversations we had were just so different.
Yeah, it was a lot different versus the US centric and then the Asian centric.
Right, the Asian centric, which has so much more going on for it, and also visionary, like, thought about where they're going, and watching keynotes, and I think to myself, and like, here we are, we're purveyors, the same as you. You've done more, in my opinion, for the XRPL and educating people, writing a book, like onboarding people into understanding what it is. We do the same. Sure, we praise Ripple when they think we did something good. We're fanboys, but listen, I do the same with Apple. You know, I love Apple up and down. I'm not a big fan of the CEO, but I think about what, you know, when we think about what they could be doing versus what they're actually doing, right? There seems to be a missing there of sort of vision and focus. And Ripple used to be incredibly transparent. They would tell you everything they were doing. I don't see much coming out of Ripple camp in the last 3 to 6 months. I have no idea what they're up to. There's no partnerships. There's no deals being cut. The lawsuits, and you know, who cares if they pay the $100 billion? Not a big deal, right? That's a drop in the bucket. Where is the innovation coming from? Because this community is phenomenal. The people like the community. Yeah, we have our hypesters over on one side. You got your more stable people on the other side. But as a community, like, where do we go from here? I mean, where do you see, is Ripple going to be able to right the ship? I'd like to see them come on strong, but I like the builder community too. And I think the builder community needs a lot of love and assistance. And I don't see that coming out of Ripple camp. And I'd like to see it, because they promised it, right? They're the ones that came out and said, hey, we're going to give this money, start funding some projects, some real projects like yours, right? Yeah. Where do you think they go with this?
Well, I believe Ripple has been trying to be more of a traditional fintech company rather than a crypto company, especially, you know, the last few years. And it's only last year that they changed direction. If you see their website, they changed their website or their wording, and they moved from like a financial network, you know, focusing on payments, to really, if you go to their homepage now, they're really, you know, talking about crypto for business. They're building crypto solutions for businesses and you know, institutions. That's what they are advertising now. So that just changed, you know, last year. So yes, what you said, I mean, they have really maybe been missing that part. I mean, they don't really know where to focus. But
are you going to Swell?
I mean, we applied. So they have to approve you first. I mean, not anyone can go.
Please tell me they approved you. Please tell me they approved.
Not yet. I mean, we have applied. Our other, you know, co-founder Peter has applied, which is living in Canada. He's closer to Miami. But you know, they haven't replied yet. Hopefully, they approve us.
Yeah, we don't get much
in Miami. That's right. It's October 15 to
Jeff,
the 16th.
We probably should go to that, but I don't think we can get in either. We've been shunned by the Ripple community. I asked David Schwartz at the Ripple proper party if he could come on the show, and he said Brad wouldn't let him, and he ran off. I was like, oh, now I know that Brad doesn't even know who we are, so that didn't happen, right? So he's a jokester all the time, right? So like, yeah, I mean, this is something we probably should be at. It's in our backyard, Jeff. We have to apply to it.
Yeah, we should definitely be able to attend, and you know,
we have to apply, Jeff, to see if we get approved.
Yeah, good luck.
I don't know about Brad, but what I have seen from Brad is, we all know in the XRPL community that there's a lot of riddles.
That's why I got in personally. The bears.
Personally, yeah. I mean, many people did that. Which ultimately, I think it damaged XRP in the ecosystem because many people started hating XRP because of that reason, because they put money, because they believed XRP would skyrocket. They believed this theory that Bearable guy built, and everyone were pushing it. So ultimately, it's a net loss for the whole ecosystem, and it's not just about price prediction, but we are seeing some crazy nonsense theories about XRP backed by gold or an asteroid or whatever you can think of, and things that not even make sense. Even if you understand some basics of the technology on a technical level, you can understand that things like that just can be done. It's like saying you can turn a chair into like an airplane. You can do it. So it's like this with most of these theories and riddles, and I can understand. I made a post a week ago, I think, but I deleted it later because I got the hate from riddlers, and I said that we really need to focus on pushing correct information, because this is actually what is being spread is misinformation, and many newcomers, when they get into the XRPL and they hear about all this nonsense, what do you expect? I mean, that's why most of the other communities joke about XRP and the XRP community. That's why, when you talk about an XRP holder and you talk about the DEX or great features they know nothing about,
right?
And this is, riddlers, certain influencers to blame.
I agree with that.
Because they really don't care about the XRP ecosystem. They don't care about pushing the technology forward. They just care. If you think about it, most riddlers just have like YouTube channels. They have like Patreon accounts, so they really care about engagement and taking advantage of the XRP community for their own interests to earn more money. I think that's their own goal. And some people said, it's okay to have some fun. Okay, I understand it. Some riddles might be fun, but in the end of the day, if you believe nonsense such as XRP will be backed by gold, or it will reach $10,000 overnight, there's something wrong in the core of the community.
And that's funny because that's going to be the title of our show tomorrow night. $10,000 XRP WTF. Because of that exact thing. That you're right, and this is the difference between traditional finance and where crypto has come from in the XRP community, where I sincerely believe that the XRP community is maturing, and all of the no names or no faces to the influencers in the space are going to go away, because you cannot have that in traditional finance. You have to put yourself front and center. You have to show your face. People have to have a good idea. It's not about the riddles. It's not about, the hype. And so that's going to go away. And a lot of the hypesters have to go away. But you see that in traditional, just in influencers in general. If you go onto YouTube and you look at all the stock, discussions that are going on YouTube, there's a lot of hype and excitement, around it, and the memes. And we had the whole thing with GameStop, but you saw how real that got with CryptoKitty, and all of that. Or not CryptoKitty, but what was his name? The GameStop guy. Why I just spaced out on that. But you saw how real that got. He created the whole meme thing. They went against traditional finance. It blew up. It went in front of Congress and all of that. It's interesting, right?
Yeah,
and that's where we're heading. We're heading in that exact direction. It has to get serious. It's about finance. It's about money. But we have to get over the hype. We have to get over it.
Yeah, it's okay to have some fun. I mean, it's needed, but not at the expense of the ecosystem and spreading misinformation. Which really damages not just the ecosystem, as I said, newcomers. Because our goal as Anodos is to build, as I said, products for the average internet user. We want to build, good apps that will simplify onboarding, that will simplify, investing, and then, using the different applications and different features of XRPL, and, any other chain we use, because we're also planning to like cover the whole XRPL ecosystem. We want to expand to the how, we want to expand to the EVM sidechain, we want to cover whatever is around the XRPL, and really just use the tech that mostly makes sense. For example, for a feature or certain app or a certain idea, XRPL mainnet might make more sense, but for another, the EVM sidechain, for example, or the how might make more sense because you have like more flexibility and depends on the features you want. So we want to build that multi-chain ecosystem, and in the end of the day, to like make blockchain invisible for the end user, to not have to know about the complexities of the technology.
Great.
For example, we have been working on a passkey solution with a partner, which we will reveal in the future. And I don't know if you're aware about passkeys. Basically, all the big techs for the past year or so have been using passkeys everywhere. Apple, Google, Microsoft. They all now, when you set up an account or you want to sign up on a website, they all have now passkeys. So instead of like putting passwords, the traditional way, or connecting with an account, you just connect, with your device, your biometrics, Touch ID if you have Apple, or your Gmail account, just a sequence sign in. And it's a great solution for crypto as well. It's not perfect. I mean, no solution is perfect. Depends on what you're doing. But for the average user that we are targeting as Anodos, it's a great one because anyone who comes in has no idea about XRP or crypto will be able to create an XRP account in a matter of 10 seconds. You click sign up, you connect, for example, whatever device you have, you connect the passkey, you approve the transaction, and you have an XRP wallet like that. You don't need the private keys. You don't need to care about and worry about the security of the private keys. Write down the words or the numbers, whatever you have. You don't have to, worry about being hacked or being falling a victim of phishing. That's a big power of passkeys because it's passwordless. There's no password to like steal from somewhere. And even if you go like to a malicious app that resembles yours, and the user gets in, it will just, get rejected with the passkey because, the passkey is really that secure that only connects to the original platform. So you can really trick the user. So nobody has done that in the XRPL, and we are the first that are bringing this feature, and we believe it will be very big to onboard internet users to XRPL. I think this is very big, and I think this is how the XRPL ecosystem will change, because I said that most of XRP holders, for better or for worse, they care mostly about Ripple. They don't really care about being active users and using the different apps.
Yep.
So the way these things will change is by bringing a lot of outsiders. So, bringing the masses to XRPL, bringing users that care about the apps, not Ripple, not Anodos, not a specific like the asset, not XRP itself. Just we have an app, whatever it is, it will be like social media app, it will be like for payments.
And outside VC. You're going to bring outside investment. Forget about the Ripple Foundation, all of that, which is great in the infancy. But you build something like that, and you start shopping that technology and those platforms. You're going to bring in outside VC.
When you download an app on your phone, you don't care about what technology they're using on the background. You don't care.
Right.
They will not research the company. Who follows it. What they're doing, what you do, how you do with crypto. You just care about the app. It works. It does your job. That's it, and that's what we really want to bring to the XRPL ecosystem. We really want to focus on DeFi and very big on payments and tokenization, which I believe it's the two biggest use cases for the whole industry. So we really want to focus on that, and just build useful consumer apps. That's the goal.
Right. James Rule, James Rule Crypto Show asked if you could. Is there possible to do a screen share of the on-ramp option and purchase crypto? Is that something?
This is it right here. See if we can unshare his. So I pulled it up. If you want to go through just to share the simplicity of it.
So currently, I mean, to be honest, I don't really like that platform there. I mean, we started with that. We launched it on March. I mean, it was a good start. But now with V2, with a new interface we're building,
Mhm.
it will be like day and night, in terms of user experience, in terms of like designs, in how the user interacts. As I told you, new features like passkeys, on ramp, off ramp, which we also want to add, and gathering everything an XRPL user needs in one space, in one platform, and make it super simple for them, so the user doesn't have to like go to multiple platforms to onboard and buy their first tokens, to create a wallet, or like to manage their XRPL account, see different data of the portfolio. We want to really have that in one place in a simple way. So yeah, what you see now, this V1 basically is nothing compared to what is coming. Yeah, I don't really like when I see that. Uh, it's not terrible, but still, it works. It does a job. But yeah, we're doing a huge upgrade, and hopefully it will be, if not the best, one of the best like platforms in the XRPL ecosystem.
And the connection was easy. I went in, you go to Anodos .finance, and you can navigate to the trade area, and you just connect your Zaman. There's 3 different wallets you can choose from. So obviously you need a wallet ahead of time, but
We
you
also
just
have
scan
like
the
a
QR and you're in.
I don't
What's
know if
that?
you have seen it. If you go to the swap, if you can share the screen and show it. So if you go to the swap and you see here under XRP, it says like a box sent to another wallet. If you click on it,
Right here.
yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is like, it utilizes XRPL, of course. It's like a core payment feature, but
Mhm.
no other platform has this really, and we were the first to implement it. And what it does is that, let's say that you have XRP, but you want to send money to another party that wants USDC, or let's say Ripple's stablecoin, or you want to pay a business with a stablecoin. So instead of like manually swapping XRP to USDC or whatever currency, and then sending manually from one address to another, you just input the amount you want to, basically send from XRP. You input the receiving currency, and then you input the address of the receiver of the other party. And then in one transaction, what it does is it converts to the other asset and it sends that asset directly to the other party. All that in 3 seconds in one transaction, which
Amazing.
is basically a payment.
That's
It's a
amazing.
great feature.
That's great. That simplifies it. I'm looking forward to seeing the new UI that you guys are coming out with, and see the progress they're making. I love the name of your company too. Anodos.
Yeah, where'd
It
that
means
come
what?
from?
Upwards. It means on the way.
It's a great book. Yeah.
And great. Yeah.
It means going up, or like Plato said, spiritual enlightenment. It has like 2 meanings. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good one.
That's a good choice. Maybe you should be naming the products over there Ripple. They haven't had such a good run at that lately. I mean, there's so many damn changes. It was on-demand liquidity, and it was ODL, and it was this and that, and then RippleNet, and yeah, naming's everything. That's why there's organizations. You know what you use now? Something called AI. That's what you use. And Jeff and I were very successful with that with our project. We had to name all of these Yetis, and we wanted them with Viking folklore and some that region.
Lots and lots of them.
So that's how we were able to do it. We were able to leverage AI.
Yeah, talking about AI, I think it's something we also want to introduce in the future, and really like combine AI with XRPL.
That would be amazing.
Imagine that, especially for a beginner, for a newcomer, that even that swapping, selecting different currencies, it might be confusing to them. So their intended operation is to swap one asset for the other. So what if instead of clicking everything and doing like the swap and everything, you had an AI chatbot and you like wrote, I want to swap 50 XRP for USDC, and automatically the system takes that, it converts to an XRP transaction. The user just has to like with a passkey ideally approve it in a second, and then the whole process is done automatically. They don't even have to click or anything or get confused by anything. They just write it and it's done. I think that would be like.
Let me put this one up here. Panos, where is your Facebook group? Do you still have? Is that still active? Is that something you could drop a link in there?
It's called. Wait, let me send the link.
You want to drop a link in there maybe for people? That'd
We
be
have
awesome.
we have a couple other questions, and then you have a new hiree, and we're going to talk about him for a few minutes too. But
Yeah, I can.
bring this one up before we get into that as you're posting that. And this came from 179 Kevin. He said XRPL is just not a fun chain anymore. Base and Solana are just easier, funner chains with better swap airdrops. How are you going to make XRPL chain fun? I would say fun and easier to work with. Zaman wallet, that looks like a thumbs down.
Oh no, say it's not true.
Is that a thumbs down?
I think that's actually one of my favorite. That's my favorite wallet. I mean, I love it.
Just not a fun wallet.
Bifrost is good too. I mean, but
And can Kevin say what he doesn't like about Zaman wallet?
yeah, right. Because that's what I don't understand. It's very easy to use.
Yeah, what the negatives? Why don't you like it? Is like complex?
Yeah, Kevin, give us some context,
Come on, Kevin.
And then let's have a conversation about this guy right here.
He doesn't say that. He just hates the wallet.
That's Neil. Yeah.
Let's
Who's
talk
that
about
guy?
let's
Who's
talk
that
about this
guy
guy,
right there?
Neil. Katie. So this is a new. So we were able to meet Neil in Australia. This is back when he was part of the X-Spectre team, but we had to meet him and hang out with him a little bit. He's obviously from the UK, but talk a little bit how Neil. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But talk about Neil and how did he come to join your team?
So I knew obviously because I was advisor to X-Spectre as well, and Neil was CTO of X-Spectre. I knew him from that time, and recently because we were looking for right now we're like 8 people in the team. We started a year ago, as I said, with 4 people, and we have been like hiring and growing. But you know what the problem is that we only had like one developer that was familiar with XRPL, and it's really hard to find XRPL developers. Right? Especially good ones like Neil, for example. We were looking for the last 2 months for a good XRPL developer, and it was really hard to find one. And so that's we have been like a slower process that we would like to, especially building V2 and everything that we want to, because it takes time for a developer that knows nothing about blockchain and XRPL, or even if it comes from Solidity and PVM chains, it's still a very different process, So they have to sit down and learn, and it takes some time. So yeah, that's when Chris, Chris Dangerfield, introduced us to Neil, because we were actually looking for some advice from Chris, and we wanted some help, and he told us. We didn't know that Neil wanted to participate in another project, so Chris introduced me to Neil. We talked again with Neil, and we decided to bring him in the team.
He's a great addition. That's awesome.
Now he will help us not just complete V2, but all the things we are planning. I mean, we also announced 2 months ago. We announced Paradigm, which will basically be the first, at least as of now, announced the first institutional DeFi platform. And you can see it as an extension of another swap of what we have now, but it'll be targeted to enterprises and institutions. We really want to bring mainly businesses, not just banks. Ripple focuses on banks. We want to focus on individuals and businesses. So we really want to bring businesses to the XRPL, utilizing its amazing features like the AMM. I mean, the AMM, it's not just about trading. I mean, it has many great features, especially around payments, on-chain effects, which I believe, it's something that the XRPL should have taken advantage a long time ago. But Ripple didn't focus on that. I hope that with their stablecoin, they will bring more. Because just having a USD stablecoin doesn't really, do the work. We need a Euro stablecoin. We need a Japanese one. All the top currencies must come to XRPL by a credible issuer. So if Ripple or any other Circle or whatever, the more the better. The more credible stablecoins we have, the better for the XRPL ecosystem. So imagine having to being able to do on-chain effects. Not only you bring a $1 trillion market to XRPL, but it it also opens up many use cases, especially around payments, without having like on ramp and off ramp, and what Ripple has been trying to do with payments and with XRP. Just have everything on chain finance. That's the goal. Having everything on chain, and just exchange, for example, US dollar with euro, and stays on XRPL, and you can then just transact on it. You can pay on it through like a crypto debit card. There are really many interesting use cases, and I would really like to build them all, but we have limited time, we have limited capital, so we are going step by step, and probably the community doesn't know that, but we have been self-funded. So we, for a year now, we have spent it our own money. I mean, that's why basically we have also been like critical of Ripple. I mean, of course, we don't expect like money to be given to us like that. But I mean, when we have proven ourselves, when we are doing something that will benefit the ecosystem, and like we're seeing other projects that have gotten tons of money and disappeared or haven't done anything, and we get rejected while we're spending our own money for a year now, and we keep growing. Yeah, I think there is like we're a little bitter about that, but still we continue. I mean, we care about the ecosystem. That's why we're building our own money.
But even so, like even the grants they give, fund development for a month. I mean, it's like if you're going to put some, that's why if you took that money and you said, okay, if you had $100 million and you pick 10 projects, you give them 10 million. Pick 100 projects and give them 1 million. What kind of, and we know how VC works, right? There's 90 to 95% fail. You got that 5% that are gonna make your investment work. But 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, yeah, it gives you a little bit of runway, but it's not enough runway to really be true with the company. They need to give you 400,000 or 500,000, $1 million to go do something, right? And to make it worthwhile.
Even getting 100,000, it still gives you that push. It gives you a benefit, some runaway to maybe like build, because generally for startups, most startups fail, but and it also takes time to build a product and to make that product profitable. So getting a grant, especially if you have like a great idea, it will give you that time, to build and not having to worry about month-to-month bills, and give you that capital to be able to build that product and hopefully make it successful.
That's what I would like. I mean, at the end of the day, as we mature with this space, outside investment is going to become more relevant than what the Ripple Foundation or Ripple X can do, like we've been talking about. I think in the infancy, though, they do have some form of a responsibility, as you brought up right in the beginning. They designated 80 million. That should have already been liquidated at this point. They should have used what they said they were going to use and found some, key companies to invest in, those that are self-funding, those that are building in the space. And there's still always going to be concern, like you brought up, and Chip and I have talked about it a lot, what they did with Forte, and not to open that, whole conversation up. But at this point, we're kind of at this, I don't want to say at a crossroads, but we're at an intersect of growth. We're growing as a space and trying to feel things out, and it's all going to be for the positive. I think we're moving away from just investing in an asset in hopes that you're going to have some big gains, and you don't even know why the asset's going up in value. Right? It's just subjective to whatever the market's doing, and just emotion. It's all emotional movement versus you start developing platforms in like Anodos, and you're talking about beyond, you can go from B2C, you can go institutional, just P2P and, utility. And it becomes really interesting. That's the foundation. If you have an empty shell without structure, it's all going to implode at some point, and this is, we right in the beginning, we were talking about, I brought up the whole .com era. We grew from that point. And .com companies that had, and if there was no structure to support it, they disappeared and imploded. That's kind of the direction we're moving in. It's still such a young industry. We're only 12, 13 years into the industry. This is the point, though. This is where we start growing up and we start identifying serious development and building in the space. So really kudos to you, taking the risk to do what you're doing. There's not, many that, can get into from an entrepreneurship perspective, but then entrepreneurship to build with a relatively young technology, which is, challenging on its own.
You know what? I mean, it's really easy. I mean, if you want to like raise some money, because many people told us from the beginning, why don't you create a token? I mean, you can like create a token, raise some funds. It's really very easy, if you want to go that route. But we really didn't want to do that. I mean, there's really no point for a token, why create a token just for the sake of creating a token, especially if you're creating it just to raise funds? That's sketchy, and okay, I mean, I don't like judge the XRPL project that have their own token, but to say the truth, most tokens are worthless. I mean, they don't have any utility, they don't have any actual value, and we would definitely didn't want to go to that route. So we decided against a token, although that would make our lives much easier. We could have raised like millions of dollars, and we could have done like great things, move much faster than what we are doing now. But we want to stay like humble. We want to stay like true to our values, and we don't want to create a token without a reason. So we really want to just focus on building apps, building useful tools for the community and for the newcomers to come. And we haven't announced it publicly. I mean, we want to raise some funds in terms of equity. So people that like want to participate and invest in Anodos, in our company, will probably be able to do that in the near future. So yeah, we need like to seek that external capital, because we can like keep on spending our own money forever. So we are seeking like external capital right now. We are in talks with some VCs and investors, but it's also really hard, as an XRPL project. If we were, I think, in another chain, it would be much easier to like attract VCs. But when it comes to XRPL, most VCs reject you or say, if you move to another chain, it'll be easier for us. We'll be able to fund you and give you money. But I don't know exactly the reasons. I mean,
it's name recognition, first mover advantage. They've built it, proven it, and that's where the focus is.
It's much easier to make money on EVM chains, let's say, or smart contract networks, because as I said, right now, a platform like us or a project can't really make money. We can like charge fees and monetize our interface on chain. And this is true like for most projects that really struggle, because you can have like a great tool. There are many great tools in the XRPL, but they don't make money because they can't, because XRPL is limited in that set of features. That's why batch transactions is very important. So when VCs see that and they see the obstacles, of course, they will not invest in you. So that has been also another struggle for XRPL projects. Hopefully, it will change. But yeah, I mean, we also have our setbacks. But we want to like be on XRPL because we love the XRPL. We're not here just to make money, because if we're here to make money, just go to another chain. For example, Avalanche, which I love. I think after XRPL, Avalanche is my favorite. It's like an amazing chain. They're doing an amazing job. But in the end of the day, I really care about the XRPL. I really want to see it, move forward, see it like mass adopted, and really build great tools for the community. I have been for 8 years. So yeah, we're building, and hopefully the community, the users can support us. I mean, some people also ask how we can support XRPL projects, and there are many ways, not just by using their product, but even a simple like to their like posts, or like a comment, or interacting or sharing about what they are doing for more people to know about it, it's enough. You don't have to, even if they have a token, you don't have to buy their token. You don't have to buy anything. But there are many ways to support the project and grow together as an ecosystem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm calling the community to start supporting the good projects, the ones that are actually building something useful and are trying to grow and help the ecosystem.
That's awesome.
I just have one last question because we're running kind of late here, but thank you for staying with us the whole time. It's been really fantastic to get you
We
on
only have
here.
2 more hours. So
yeah, we only have 3 or 4 more hours. So if you can hang with us, just kidding. So there's this popular statement, a phrase that you hear quite frequently, usually on crypto X, crypto Twitter, and that phrase is no incentive is right. So you know where I'm going with this, right? No incentive is a good incentive. No good incentive is no incentive. And it's like, well, that didn't really. We're kind of seeing it now with Ethereum because now the gas fees are down. So people are angry because the gas fees are down. And when the gas fees were too high, people were angry because the gas fees were too high. But again, if you're going to monetize and make money, it's great that you have low amount of let's say payment processing. Yeah, it's super low. Well, how many payments do you have to process before you start making money to offer a service that can actually do that? So where do you stand on this whole no incentive is a good incentive?
Well, I think it has also been misunderstood as a statement, because what David really meant is just about on the consensus level. I mean, when it comes to validation of transactions, and I think in that case it has worked really well. I mean, of course, it hasn't been. We're not seeing thousands of validators like other networks, but still, I mean, there's a good amount. The network is sufficiently decentralized in terms of the number of validators. Maybe not big enough compared to other chains, but still, I mean, if you introduce incentives to that kind of level in the consensus and validation, it also adds some negatives. As also David said about how proof of work and with Bitcoin that people come and contribute to the network just because of money. So that eventually leads to centralization, because the ones that have the most resources will want to have control of the network to make most of the money. So when it comes to the consensus, I fully agree with David, but certainly not when it comes to the rest of the ecosystem, because the project, the users, basically anyone except for the validation needs incentives. So yeah, I agree on the consensus, but not for the rest.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'm kind of with you on that, but I guess on the consensus, it makes a little bit more sense than it does on becoming, monetizing on the ecosystem itself. So, I mean, when you get up to speed, when you get this new interface, then I would like to maybe come in and do a proper demo and because I think we'd like to do a working session to be able to show people, demo it and show people how to use it. Because I think what's missing sometimes is people just need that extra nudge to be able to see it. So maybe when you guys get that UI sort of in a good place where you feel good about it, maybe we can have you back and we can do a working session where you can kind of take questions like that. That'd be really great.
That'd be great. And you're definitely onto the right path.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With your thought process and where you want to go.
One of my biggest dreams and my dream up is, and this is something I have also shared on X, that my vision with Anodos is to build a super payments app, a consumer app, which ideally will also utilize Ripple's technology, and some others. And we really want to do that with Anodos. We're not there yet, but hopefully over time as we grow and after we finish what we have already in plan, we really want to, because also the XRPL ecosystem needs it, and it also needs killer apps, So if you build a payments app, you can think of Revolut, Wise, online banks, and you bring that to XRPL, utilizing the XRPL without the user knowing it, then I think that's how the XRPL succeeds and how it gets mass adopted without the majority, the masses realize. And this is something we want to do. That's my dream with Anodos. So yeah, hopefully we achieve that.
Yeah, and here's the point. All of that also, and as from a business perspective and trying to interact with other businesses in other countries, there's still going to be a challenge, right? And trying to figure out how to solve that challenge from a B2B perspective is really important. And
that was our dream,
still,
Jeff.
I know, yeah, and it's still
Jeff and I
there.
We got pretty far with our project too. We had it,
we have a whole B2B project that we put together, ran into a few, speed bumps. It's still there, but the B2B aspect of what we built out the whole program is really vital, and I look at your technology and I could see, how that part can plug in to even what we kind of envisioned and what we drafted out and the direction we were moving in. Some of the core features are really important, but simplifying it. Yep.
Yeah.
I had someone, they had to send money. We're sitting in the same room together. And I said, okay, here we go. They said, can we use PayPal? I said, no, I don't use PayPal. So you can't use PayPal, but I'm going to send you an invoice. And through the invoice, you're going to be able to click on it. You can do a bank wire or you can do an ACH. It's a good thing you have an account here in Miami, because if you had to interact and do a bank wire from your account down in Colombia, it's probably not going to work, right? From here, you're going to have to go back home. Then you're going to have to figure out how to log into it. There's all sorts of complexities, and PayPal, credit cards. There's huge fees, and that's the big part of it. That transaction.
What's that? What baffles me, that Ripple has been talking all these years about the internet of value. They have built that great payments technology, but they really didn't find a team, a project, a company, whatever, and say, come on here, let's build a consumer app. Let's utilize XRPL and our tech stack to build this great payments app, because Ripple is focusing on institutions. They're selling to enterprises.
Right.
But what if they just partnered or collaborate with a company or project to build this amazing payments app that consumers needs, and simplify this, achieve their vision of this internet of value and seamless cross-border payments? And we have seen this all these years being discussed, people talking about the Interledger protocol, all these amazing technologies. And neither Ripple nor anyone else have really stepped in to do that. And I understand it takes money, it takes, to have the right team, the experience to do that. But, I think the capital is there. I mean, for example, if Ripple wanted, they could just fund a good project, a good team, and build this great killer app that would bring a lot of people to XRPL. But it baffles me how they haven't thought about it, or they haven't done it. Hopefully we'll be the first, because, that's, as I said, that's my dream. We have stepped in already in that. So hopefully we do that. But if someone else does this as well, that's great. I mean, it's great for the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's awesome. And here's just a quick shout out here. And we were talking about Swell a little while ago, and last March, Chip and I had the opportunity to MC this great conference, which is, under Wave of Innovation. And they brought together a bunch of builders and developers on XRPL. And that's where we got to meet some of the Asian Ripple team and really got a good understanding of what was going on there. And, we have Swell, very Ripple centric. Maybe we need to forget about that and start supporting, organizations like this that are building amazing conferences. There's the 2025 conference is going to be coming up pretty soon. Date is TBA right now, but I don't know if you can see this, but eventually you might even see someone that looks just like Chip. There he is right there. Looks just like Chip. But just anyhow, this was a great event. And hopefully these guys will be, they can reach out to you also. And so that way you can share your vision over there.
Was sponsor in the last one in March.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought you were going to be there, but you were sponsored. Yeah,
online.
Right. But to be there in person.
Hopefully,
hopefully next year we'll get to meet up in person. It's a long journey for us too. So Jeff and we had quite the journey, man. 6 hours from Miami to LA,
Wow.
9 hours layover, 16 hours.
XRPL Apex. Have you been there?
I haven't been to Apex, no, but I did apply while we were doing this interview. I did apply to Swell, and what I put in there was I co-emceed the Ripple sponsored Wave of Innovation event in March. Let's see if that carries any weight. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get rejected, but we'll see. I also said I've been covering the space since 2000, since last 4 or 5 years, Jeff. We've been covering the space.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been doing
That
this
helps.
podcast for quite a while. So, but again, it's much the same reason you wrote a book to kind of put everything down. We started this podcast because we wanted to learn more about the ecosystem and feature a lot of the people that were making really good progress in the space and creating projects. So it's, really, I mean, we're really rooting for your success. Any way we can help get the word out there, we're happy to do it. And you're one of the good guys out there in the ecosystem. Always dispelling some of this, false information out there.
You know what? I have been, on the past, I mean, the previous years, I always try to fight misinformation and address every topic. But you always get, that hate. I know from people, for example, who support riddles or people who support certain individuals, certain YouTubers, and they might be spreading misinformation. But if you address that, their fan base will just start attacking you. So I really have stopped addressing a lot of the misinformation for the past year or so. Hopefully, through channels like yours, talking like this now, we can address some things. But I decided that it's time focus on building, and if someone really wants to know about the XRPL and learn the truth and not believe nonsense, it's up to their hands. I mean, I think not just me, but many other people like you and other individuals in the community have tried to and are still trying to battle misinformation, try to spread good news and what's actually real. But in the end of the day, it's up to each individual to understand it and if they want to take action. So no matter what you're doing, it's still you can't really control the other person what he will do. So right now, mostly focusing on building, and hopefully we attract many new people in the XRPL.
Well, great. We just entered the record books because we've now gone into almost an hour and 40 minutes, which is our best interview, our longest interview. So thank you for staying with us, because I know we only said it would be an hour, so we kind of lied a little bit, but it's been great to dive into all these topics and kind of suss them out. So it's been great. And thank you for making some time, because I know you've been building, and I know that a couple of times it got bumped because you're trying to hit your own internal deadlines, right? Your sprints or whatever you're trying to put live, and so we understand that. So thank you for making time to kind of come on the chain and talk, and we'd love to have you back, especially when you're in a better place. We can do maybe a working session where we can show people how.
Show. And also something else I want to say, other than Anodos swap, we're also launching Anavol. In the next 2 weeks, we will publicly announce it.
Oh,
I don't know if you have looked about that. We haven't really shared a lot of information on details. We have it on our docs, but basically Anavol is a multi-chain platform. It utilizes Optimism, Arbitrum, and Ethereum for now. We plan to expand to more chains. But when we began last year, we actually began with the AMM and with that. And we launched a closed beta in the end of 2023. And this is a platform that really simplifies crypto investing. So,
nice.
We are building some tools, for example, like the AMM, where we give the power to the users and different tools. But when it comes to Anavol, as I said, most people, when they think of crypto, they think of investing, and they want to find a simple way to invest. And right now, it's really complex to really sign up to a centralized exchange, to unwrap money and having to send it to your own wallet. It's really complex.
Jeff and I laugh about this all the time, that we've been saying there's got to be a simpler way. It sounds like you're building it. So I'd love to hear, more about that.
That's what Anavol actually is. It utilizes everything is on chain. You can look at it as an on-chain copy trading platform where you can like set up different portfolios with different asset allocations, you know.
Do we get
And
beta access to that when it comes out? Are we going to
of
get?
course, we can show everything. We can show like how it is done. But yeah, at the end of the day, we want to make crypto investing super simple because most of the people really don't have the time. I mean, most people have their full-time jobs. They can't sit and research with hours, you know, where to invest, you know, what to invest to. You know, it really needs a lot of time, and we're really trying to simplify that. Create like different portfolios. For example, a portfolio can have Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. And if you want that, that's fine. Just connect your wallet, which can be like, as we said, passkeys or social logins. Super simple. No need for private keys. On ramp, you know, with your cards and with stable coins, you know, you deposit on that portfolio, on that specific portfolio, and like that, your stable coins automatically like follow the portfolio. You know, they convert through the AMM to the specific assets based on the allocation. And just like that, we handle everything for the user through smart contracts. I don't have to like find for the best yield. I mean, we just stake, you know, put like a staking or like revenue sharing, whatever the asset has. And it does that automatically, you know, in a decentralized way with help of smart
I like that. I like the sound of this. It sounds very, very up. Like I think a lot of people would be really interested in seeing
really
that.
like a super simple way to get crypto exposure, you know, to invest in crypto. Maybe not ideal for everyone. I mean, if you really don't know what you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah, but for beginners and for people who really don't want to sit down and research, you know, hours and hours, and really, you know, care, you know, they know about like expertise as, you know, being in crypto so many years and seeing, you know, what we're doing, you know, if they want that simple solution, yeah, it's for them.
Awesome. Well, listen, Panos, thank you for coming on here and spending a lot of time with us and having this conversation. It's something we're looking forward to and really enjoyed today to be able to hear from you because we've had you featured on the show for so long. So it's great to actually have you here in person and not just your, you know, some of the posts that you had. So thank you for coming. Jeff, I'll give it to you and then we'll give it over to Panos for the last word.
Yeah, Panos, really appreciate you coming on. Learned a lot, you know, today. Look forward to, you know, tracking the rest of your progress and having you back on as you know, definitely hit some milestones. I think overall, you know, what we're hearing and your ideas and, you know, your goals for Anodos are really great and needed in the community.
Thank you, appreciate it, and thanks for inviting me. And yeah, what I want to say as a last word is that, you know, to the community out there, you know, we are really building for the community, you know, because we really value the feedback of the community. And, you know, it's thanks to them that we are now like building V2 and we are introducing new features. You know, we are listening to the community and we know that some projects don't, you know, and not just projects, but generally startups really want to build apps because, you know, they have a certain vision, but we really want to build for the community, you know, for the XRPL users. So if you have any feedback, you know, bad or good, whatever, we welcome everything, and we only want to improve. So yeah, we are welcoming the community. We are here to help, to guide you in everything, and yeah, let's grow together.
I love it. Well, listen, guys, we'll be back. Panos is tremendous. There you go. You see, a lot of love in the community. Absolutely, you couldn't have said it any better, Charles. Yeah, and there's a lot of good comments we couldn't get to. Sometimes, you know, you get in a conversation, but guys, thank you for stopping by and for everybody that joined. Everybody that joined us over there on X. We always have a bigger crowd over there on X. So again, really appreciate everybody. Is our one viewer on Twitch? Let me see.
Yes, we have one viewer, and
we have one viewer on Twitch and never misses. Right there. There it is. Right there. Crypto Whelp.
So there he's drinking beers. It's 98 degrees over in Spain. That's where he's right now. So
that's amazing. It's 98 degrees. Holy cow, that's hot. Well, it's almost that hot here, Jeff. So, all right. Well, listen. Well, guys, we'll get out of here and we'll see you on the next one. Panos, stay around because we'll talk after this. But we're gonna sign off right now. Chip, Jeff, and Panos out. See you guys on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe. subscribe and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.